So you've got the Insta360 Go 2, or you're looking at getting the Insta360 Go 2, and you just want to know all the features and settings of this camera without going through long guides. This is the video for you. We'll be going through all the features of the camera and all the settings in both the small camera, the case, and the app itself. So if you do find this useful, then hit that thumbs up button down below. And without further ado, let's get into it.
Okay, so this is the Insta360 Go 2 in its charge case, but before we even get into the controls on the charge case, I'm just going to take the camera out. I'm going to go through the settings that you can do just from the camera itself. Okay, so this is off right now, and to turn it on, all you have to do is hold it for 1 second. And it's the same to turn it off again. So with the small camera, there's a few different settings to record in different modes, and that depends on whether the camera is on when you press the button or off when you press the button. So let's go through what happens when the camera is off. So from when the camera is off, if you press the button once, that'll automatically start recording a 1440p video at 30 frames per second. This is the normal video mode and not the pro video mode. So if you click it again, that will turn it off. If you double press the button while the camera is off, it'll automatically take a photo, and then it will turn itself back off again. Now if we hold the button again to turn it back on, this is now on but not recording anything. So if we press it once, now it's on, that starts recording a pro video. So the pro video records into like a square circle format, and you can obviously reframe it afterwards. And this records a 10-minute video, and then automatically go into standby mode. You can tap it once to stop it. So once you tap to stop, obviously it's still on, hasn't turned off yet. So if you double press from on, this will start the time shift mode, and it will automatically record for 30 minutes. After shooting, it will go back into standby mode. And again, you can press once to stop, and then hold it down to turn off at any point. And that is all the settings you can do from within the camera. Pretty much everything you need, but you can obviously do a little bit more and change the settings through the charge case. So let's get into the charge case. So to navigate the menus, all you have to do is use this button on the right. If you press it once, it will show you which mode you're in and go back. If you press it multiple times, you navigate through the different modes. When you select a mode, you'll see an icon which depends on which mode you're in. You'll also see your aspect ratio, your resolution, and your frame rate. And the top right here, you'll see the lens style that you're shooting in. In this case, it's wide, and we'll get into that later. If you move on to photo, all you see is that you're shooting in pure shot, so that's all that comes up with. And if you move on to something like time lapse, for example, in the bottom right, you just see your intervals there. If you keep pushing the button to get to the end, you'll notice settings. So let's click the red button to go into settings. Now in the main settings menu, the first option you get is wind reduction. By default, I think this is on, so I do like to keep that on. And the next one is anti-flicker. Obviously by default this is set to auto, but I've got my anti-flicker set to 50 Hz, just because I'm in the UK and that's the general consensus for that. And then you have your standby time. At the moment it's 120 seconds, but you can change it to anything up to 180 seconds. Then you've got this option for H.264. At the moment, clicking the button doesn't actually change anything here. Maybe they were planning to add H.265 somewhere down the line, but they haven't done that yet. Next, you can choose your bitrate. So you can choose between standard bitrate or high bitrate. I recommend always keeping this on high bitrate, especially for sort of fast moving subjects. Then you can choose whether the LED on the camera is on or off. Obviously you can't see it right now, but if I turn that off, the little LED on the camera goes off. Next, you've got the option to lock the button on the camera. Let's say you're recording some action and there's a chance that the button might accidentally get pressed. You have the option to lock that button so that nobody can stop the recording by accident. And next you have your language, obviously. Then you have the Wi-Fi settings with auto or on. Then you have format. Obviously you can format the internal memory from that. Then reset, which resets it back to factory settings. And about, where you can see your firmware and serial number. And that's everything in the main settings menu. So if you go back to settings and then click the red button on the settings menu, you get the settings for each individual mode. So under the settings for video mode, you get to change your aspect ratio between 16:9 and 9:16. You get to change the resolution between 1440p and 1080p. And you get to change your frame rate between 30 frames, 50 frames, 24 and 25 frames per second. Underneath that you have your different lens styles. So by default it's in ultra wide, which basically records as wide as the camera can go, You can also change that to action video, linear, which gets rid of those weird curvy lines that you get when you're recording action footage. Or you can switch over to narrow mode, which does zoom in a little, but gives you a closer feel to more like a phone camera style. And underneath that, you have your sort of color profiles. By standard, it's set to vivid, and vivid is quite a good profile. There's a lot of dynamic range, but it is a bit more saturated than other profiles. So then you've got standard and log mode. So let's go back into vivid. And underneath that, you have your sort of timer limit. So if you wanted to set a limit where you start recording and after 15 minutes it will stop recording, you can. And obviously you've got a few different options of timings here to suit your needs. And it is quite handy as there's not that much built-in storage on this thing. So if you just wanted to record a quick 30-second shot of you doing something, but you didn't want to have to turn the camera off, this is the way to do it. So that's it for the video mode. If we switch over to photo now, we have a timer, so you can switch the timer on or off, and you've got 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds or off. Then you can choose whether you want it to take a raw photo as well. I always leave this on because RAWs are better for editing. And then that's it in terms of the photo. So if we move to the next one, Pro Video, again you get the option, the aspect ratio, your resolution and your frame rate, and your lens choice and picture profile. Then moving on now to time shift, where you get the same options as the video. So in the time-lapse menu, you get all of your same settings, but obviously you get set your interval, which is how long you want it to be between each photo it takes. And that goes all the way up from 0.5 seconds to 120 seconds, depending on the speed of the time-lapse you want. And obviously, again, you've got the standard settings. Moving over to HDR video, again, you've got the standard video settings, but you are limited in terms of frame rate to 24 or 25 frames per second. Moving over to slow motion now, you're limited to 1080p, so you can't switch to 1440p, and also 120 frames per second is the standard slow motion mode, so you can't change that. But you can change everything else as normal. And that's all the settings you can change within the case. I'm going to connect the phone up now and show you how to change the settings within the phone app and do some cool stuff with that. Okay, so let's get into the Insta360 app. I'm going to open it up and connect straight to the camera. So if I click this little yellow Wi-Fi button down here, it'll automatically start the connection process. And normally it is pretty quick, and on iPhone at least you have to press join every time. Once that's complete, you just click the little camera button and you're instantly into a live preview. So you can see me there. Okay, so you'll see on the bottom left we've got the mode, and if you click that you can change between all the modes we mentioned earlier. And you'll notice photo is missing, but photo is a different tab down the bottom here. So within these modes you do have all your usual settings, like the resolution, the aspect ratio, the field of view, the frame rate, the color profile, and the time you want it to record. And here you can change the mode that you're in. If you go to HDR, you do get met with a little warning saying it's not recommended for action or low light scenarios. In time-lapse, if we go in, again, we can change the interval. And when you start recording your time-lapse, you'll see the numbers start to count up. And this is how many seconds you've been recording for and how many seconds of footage you've actually got. And you also get this bit of text underneath that says for every 15 minutes of recorded content, 1 minute video will be created. I'd quite like to see this bit of text before I start recording, as I think it could be pretty handy to dial in your settings, but at the moment you can only see it once you've already started recording the time-lapse. So let's stop that. And other than that, the layout is pretty similar to what it is on the charging case. You'll see next to the little yellow cog here, we've got a camera icon, and here you can change on the left, you can change your exposure from auto to manual. And again, you can dial in your ISO and your shutter speed there. And you can also here change your exposure compensation. If you want it to be a little bit brighter than what the auto settings come out as, you can do that. And your white balance settings if you wanted to set that manually as well. Let's get back into the cog. And then we're going to switch over to the photo tab. So interestingly enough, on here, the phone app opens a few possibilities that weren't available in the case for photo. So if you go into mode, you've got interval, which I guess is like a time lapse, but it's not going to make the time lapse for you. You've got night shot for those better low light photography. And you've got star lapse, which makes it super bright for those nighttime time lapses. But also what you can't do is turn off whether the camera takes it in RAW or not. All you've got is this little format button which turns pure shot on or off. I'm not sure why it's called format, I'm hoping they change that soon. But like I say, as far as I can tell, there's no way to turn the raw photos on or off via the app. And while I'm here, I'll just show you the field of view changes on the camera. So this is the ultra wide, this is the linear, and this is the narrow. So you'll see this is more like a phone camera look. The linear kind of straightens up the ultra wide, so those edges look a little bit stretched. And that's the sort of normal action camera look in the wide there. So if we go in now and click this little circle next to the record button, this is the preview button, and it will show you your most recently taken image and obviously allow you to edit it. I am going to go into the editing functions a little bit, but not too much. So if you hit the back button on the top left, you'll see all your previous taken images, and you've got a choice between selecting local, which is the images you've already downloaded, or camera, which is the stuff that's on the camera and you haven't downloaded to your phone yet. So if we go to all, and I can see some of the stuff we've just taken. So first let's go into a raw photo. On the raw photo you can turn pure shot on or off if you just want it as raw. Again, you can change the aspect ratio after you've taken it, which is quite a nice little feature. It also has this weird film pano aspect ratio if you wanted it to look like a pano. You can turn pure shot on or off and color plus on or off, which I guess is just different ways of grading your photo. And then you can change the field of view. You've got a face filter here and a couple of other things I'll go into, but let's just go into a video to show you what it's like with an actual video playing. So this is a pro video we've just gone into now, and you'll see it's loading it straight from the camera, and it will just automatically start playing it. To play and pause, all you have to do is tap the screen, and then to move across you can swipe the bottom here, and it'll just move across your footage. So you've got AI trim on the left, which basically takes what it thinks are the best parts of your image and cuts them together. This does get rid of other parts of your video, but if you do click the three dots on the top right and click reset edit, those parts will come back again. Again, you can choose your aspect ratio afterwards. You can reframe, add a face filter, change your music. Please don't use any of this music if you're serious. And then you've got the speed feature here, where you can scroll through your video. And then let's just say I wanted to speed up a certain part of the video, then I could press 2 times. And then you see you're dragging that snippet that it's going to be 2 times, and then you tick that and press the tick on the top right, and that's now doubled the speed of that little segment, so it should start going quite quickly there. This does remove the sound as well, by the way. That can be useful for slow motion parts, so say you've got some action, you just want to slow something down by 50%, you can slow a small portion of it down by clicking speed, then you can click half, and then you can drag that out to slow that footage down. You can then take a snapshot, so let's find a decent part of the image, and then we can take a snapshot, and that just takes a photo from your video and saves that to the device album. You've got a few filters here, which obviously is useful for the gram. I don't think I'll be using them as I just put it into my editing software and change the colours there, but they could be useful if you just want straight to Instagram footage. And you can really get into the nitty-gritty of this video and change the exposure, color temperature, contrast, saturation, highlight, shadows, and all of that good stuff. Next, you can actually mark parts of the image just by clicking the little flag there, and obviously you can download it as well. Before you do download it, I do recommend going into settings on the bottom right of the app here, scrolling down, and at the bottom of app settings you'll see a shot on watermark. So if you download your photo with this turned on, you do get a little watermark at the bottom that says shot on Insta360 GO 2. Just so you don't get caught out, you might want to turn this off if you don't want that watermark there. So again, this is not a full guide to the app, so I'm not going to go into the app too much, but hopefully this has helped you navigate your camera using your phone.
So that's been a complete features and settings guide of the Insta360 GO 2. Hopefully you found it useful. I didn't want to go too much into the app because that's a whole beast in itself, so maybe I'll do a video on that once I've got used to it myself. But hopefully you found it useful, and if you did, then hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.